It is November 30th, 2020. It's the last day of November. And first, I must apologize for the delay in adding new videos to this channel. We have been seriously internet challenged, and as such, even though the content is ready, uploading has been grief and nightmarish experience. And so for those who look forward to our presentations, I truly apologize, and we will try to see how quickly we can catch up, because there's so much happening in the world of cruising. And so just to summarize a few things, and there's so many different aspects that we need to look at. The one that brought a lot of joy to the faces of a lot of people was the arrival of Carnival Horizon into the port of Miami. It was a beautiful sight. Persons were lining up and waving and welcoming her back, because it's rather unusual to see the bare shorelines of Miami with no vessels docked in port. So the welcome was warm and rich. And of course, Disney also was able to bring joy back into the Port Canaveral area, as they also had one of their ships returning. And just on a side note, Disney in Orlando has been picking up its pace in terms of the numbers of pass holders who can access the park, as well as persons who had their vacations thought out but they had not made a booking. So Disney World is also available to a degree for you to book with us right now here at Share Fantastic Travels and Resorts Limited. The other big news is that Quantum of the Seas, which will sail from Singapore, will be Royal Caribbean's first ship I shouldn't even say post, during this pandemic. She set sail on December 1. All eyes will be on her. And as we have said in previous videos, right now she will sail with only residents of Singapore. So if you are not a Singaporean or a Singaporean residency holder, it might be a little late to get that done, but it's the beginning. We did not get a chance to push out a big bit of information on the Sea Dream yacht sailing that had occurred, came over from Southampton and was incident free, got into Barbados to do a Caribbean sailing, pretty much with influencers, media personnel, and the like. And in that sailing, there was an outbreak of the virus, aborting not only that sailing, but also canceling the rest of the season in the Caribbean. And for those who are unaware, this would have been the first sailing in the Caribbean, and she would have been homeporting in Barbados. So with this outbreak, at final count, there were 2 crew members who were infected and 6 passengers. Everybody went home safely in terms of passengers, and the Sea Dream closed their sailing into the winter season for the Caribbean. Very, very sad. And then there's just other bits of information. Some are speculatory, others are real. One which is exciting, and you have heard me talk about homeporting, and I get on about homeporting. The things that make me passionate sometimes will probably irritate other people, because having put it out there again about homeporting, I came across an article, and it was interesting because MSC's Magnifica, she will be homeporting for the very first time in Southampton in the UK. this is a big deal, and it is the first MSC vessel to homeport in the UK and going great guns. So my thought and my conversation regarding homeporting in Jamaican still stand in Jamaican waters still stands. A brief encounter with the powers that be suggested that it will resume when cruising starts again. I was a little bit taken aback by the statement simply because it takes months of negotiation, planning, putting things in place. I'm not the logistics person for that aspect, but from my knowledge of cruising, I know the amount of work that would need to go into home porting. And if not now, when? If we don't start the conversations, we will not know what the outcome is. When all 300 and odd vessels that sail the seas start sailing again, then our offer for home porting will not be anything of great consequence. You know, this old termage that I've heard over the years, strike the iron while it's hot, opportunity comes and it's not always wrapped in Christmas paper. It's real. Now is the time for us to reach out, start the conversation. The thought can be that your offer might be considered, or it might be put on hold, or it might be rejected. But do we know what the outcome will be unless we start that conversation? I don't like the idea of being reactive. I love being proactive. And a window of opportunity has a way of presenting itself in some of the most unusual circumstances. And it's those who strike the iron while it's hot who will ultimately benefit. So I'm just putting that out there. I'm not letting go of this home porting. If I were in that role, I would observe what's going on, the trends, and I would see the value proposition that our location offers, and I would go for it. But I'm just saying that. Let's see if there will be a change in perspective moving forward, or if we just need to keep the pressure on. Now, the final thing I want to speak about in today's episode is the uncertainty that surrounds Jamaicans who, for years, have worked on cruise ships. And if we were to conservatively pick a figure, I heard a figure being booted around of 10,000 Jamaicans who work on cruise ships across the world. And we know that those who have come home, and they would have been in the majority, have an uncertain future in front of them as it relates to when cruising will return in U.S. waters in particular, and as a result when they will return to work. And I want to give a big shout out to those who have already returned to work, because their positions are available and the ship that they are assigned to has called them back. Good going, keep yourself safe, and we know that this will change what's happening in the lives of your families here in Jamaica, and of course all of those sailing on Quantum and the other vessels that are still out there sailing. We know that it is impacting you in a very positive way. Just reached out to one of the crew that I met on the MSC Divina. Wonderful lady, and she is here at home in Montego Bay, and so I can only imagine, as the funds dwindle, how the concern starts to rise. Now the challenge is that these persons who are still waiting to see how the vessels will be deployed once more have a very, very uncertain situation in front of them. And so the best we can do is continue to follow the trend, because people speak of the obvious ones, but they don't even understand that before the cruise ship worker can get on board and serve the clients, there are those of us on the back end, the travel partners, who have been hit in a tremendous way. We are also out of work, people. Since March, there are those of us who have had to downsize, downscale, scale to zero, and it is certainly a very, very difficult time. So we just want to remind you that your travel partners, we are paid by the suppliers. The prices that are being offered already have our pay involved, included. And so when you shop online, you're paying for our services, but you're not getting it. So to bring this presentation to a close, we just want to remind you to shop with your travel advisor. We're there through thick and thin for you, and you keep another business open, you keep another family fed, you keep life going for another set of your countrymen. So this is how we see it today on the Daily News.